People ask me all the time, why can't I feel my divine connection? Why can't I connect to my guidance? This is a really common question that's asked across religious and spiritual communities. I remember when I was growing up Christian, people would ask all the time, why can't I feel God's presence? Why can't I hear God's voice? I want to have a spiritual experience. And it's the same in the spiritual and New Age communities, except that the language is different. Why can't I connect to my guides? Why can't I have a divine bliss experience? And I'm going to share with you today my 3-step, simple and powerful practice to connect with your divinity. Whatever word you want to put on it. God's presence, inner peace, divine guidance, to be able to connect with your divine nature, with your divinity, to have that connection with divine bliss and love. Not just as a one-time experience, but to be able to ground it in and live connected to your divinity, to your divine nature, to that divine love and bliss that we're all seeking. Before we go there, we need to narrow down, though, what exactly is it that people are looking for? Because oftentimes we're confused on this. We may think that we want to have a spiritual experience, or we may want to receive a message from our guides, but what is at the heart of it that everyone is looking for? What we're looking for is an internal state. Let's take a moment to consider all the different things that people chase in their lifetime. And let's look at the underlying motivation behind the things that we chase that we think will bring us happiness. If we are chasing, for instance, a relationship, we may think if I just had such and such relationship, then I will be happy. Why is that? Because we think the relationship is going to make us feel loved and secure on the inside. Let's say someone's chasing success in their career. Well, why are they chasing success in their career? Because they think that success will give them inner security. It will make them feel secure and give them peace on the inside. Why do people do emotional eating? Because they're looking for inner comfort and security that they think that food will give them. We do the same exact thing in our religious and spiritual communities. So rather than chasing food or a career or a relationship or a new home that we think will make us feel comfort and secure on the inside, instead, we might be chasing a spiritual experience. Why do we want a spiritual experience? Because we want to feel divine love and bliss. We want an inner feeling of connection and peace and security and joy. It's an inner experience that we're all seeking. People may be reading the Bible or another holy book or spiritual text, seeking a connection to a higher power that they believe will make them feel seen and secure and guided. Speaking for myself, I've been chasing the spiritual connection my entire life. Why? Because I want to feel inner peace. I want to feel joy on the inside. I want to be unshakable on the inside. So I think that we can see that we are all seeking the same state of inner peace, inner security. We may think that we want that new relationship, but really what we want is we want the feeling of being loved and secure and at peace on the inside. And it's the same with spiritual goals. I'm chasing this spiritual experience. Why? Why do I want a spiritual experience? So that I can feel peace and bliss and security and connection on the inside. Having said that, let's move on to the simple and powerful 3-step process to not only have a spiritual experience, but to be able to ground in and stabilize that state of inner peace and security so that you can live from that state. I do teach this step-by-step process in my course, Awaken Your Divinity, which I am teaching live this year in my membership, The Sanctuary. So if you'd like to do this in community with step-by-step instructions, meditation, soundtracks, daily practice exercises to take you from feeling disconnected, struggling on your spiritual path, to living in a place of divine connection, connection to your divine self, grounded inner peace and joy. Check the description and pinned comment for the link. Connecting to your divinity, or in other words, accessing that ongoing state of inner peace and security, is not complicated. It's actually very simple. But why do we all miss it? Well, A, most of us don't know how, when, and where to look for it. So we keep chasing it in all of these other things. And secondly, many people suffer from information overload, especially in the technological age that we live in. There's always another course, another teacher, with another path for us to follow to achieve our spiritual goals. And people jump from one thing to the next and often don't put enough time and effort into any specific path to see progress. And we feel like we need this complicated process to achieve our goals, but in reality, what we're looking for is innate to us. We are already everything that we're looking for. We have spoken in previous videos about how the one unconditional universal law of the universe is the law of one. And we've broken down in great detail how reality is oneness, love, divinity, these three things. Everything is part of the one being, and the nature of the one being, the one consciousness that exists, is love. And everything is divine because everything is a part of the one God consciousness. So your divine self, your love, that inner feeling of connection and love and worthiness and inner peace that you're looking for, it is already what you are. So it could not be more simple to experience it. It's just that we make it so complicated that the actual practices that are necessary to access and live from a state of deep connection to your own divinity are often overlooked as being too simple. And so people don't stick with the practices. What are these practices? Well, in my course that I teach in my membership, The Sanctuary, I have boiled it down into 3 very simple, powerful, and specific steps. And I'm going to share them with you now. The first step is understanding how to look for your divine connection. The second step is when to look for it. And the third step is where to look for it. So first, how do you look? We want to look with loving awareness and discernment. This is a very specific type of looking that includes both the feminine and the masculine aspects of the divine. The feminine aspect is the unconditional love, and the masculine aspect is the understanding, the light, the wisdom. Both are absolutely necessary because both the love and the light make up God. And the practice that I recommend to help you look for your divine connection in the right way is called allowance. Allowance is when you simply observe everything that arises in your life without judgment or attachment. The number one reason why people do not experience divine bliss in their day-to-day lives is because of judgments and attachments. When you understand that you already are what you are looking for, it becomes easier to see that most of the suffering that you experience, suffering takes you away from that state of inner peace and divine connection that you're looking for. Suffering is when you don't feel okay on the inside. All suffering, and I'm talking psychological suffering, not physical pain, I'm talking about psychological suffering, that which takes you away from a grounded sense of inner peace. All psychological suffering is caused by attachments and judgments. Attachments and judgments occur when you believe that you need something in the outer world to behave in a certain way in the case of an attachment, or to not behave in a certain way in the case of a judgment, in order for you to feel okay internally. The practice of allowance allows you to very effectively dissolve your attachments and judgments. This is how you practice allowance. Whenever a situation arises in your life that causes you to feel psychological suffering, a sense of not being okay, so it could be stress, worry, overwhelm, fear, shame, anger, whatever it may be, and we're not judging emotions as bad. Emotions are just a messenger that tell us how we're perceiving the world in that moment. So we welcome our emotions with gratitude because they give us invaluable information about our attachments and our judgments. But whenever a sense of not okayness arises, a situation which causes you distress or psychological suffering, you take a step back and you use both unconditional love and discernment to dissolve that attachment or judgment, or to create space between your inner world and the attachment that's keeping you bound to something in the outer world needing you to feel okay. So let's use an example. Right now, my cat is meowing loudly outside of my door. And there's also loud traffic going by the side of my window. And this is a real issue that I have dealt with when I've been filming. If I were to start feeling that stress arising because I need a quiet environment to film, that indicates I have an attachment to my room being quiet in order for me to feel peace. And I also have a judgment against these cars that are making noise. I want them to go away. I can't feel peaceful if they are there disrupting me. So when I notice this happening, I ask myself, do I really want to be dependent on the traffic outside of my window behaving in a certain way in order for me to feel okay and at peace? And of course the answer is no. I don't want to be a slave to the traffic outside the window that I can't control behaving in a certain way. So then we ask the question, can I control this situation? No, I can't. So I choose to allow it to be what it is. Allow it to be, just let it be, and I disconnect my internal sense of okayness from the traffic outside the window. So you view the situation with unconditional love and acceptance. It is what it is. I cannot control it, so I allow it. And the discernment to know that these feelings of stress that are arising are not the real me. The real me is unshakable peace that exists within me all the time. So you have the unconditional love and the discernment. The allowance to let it be what it is, and that's not me. I am here, I am at peace, and I take back my power. I'm going to stop giving my power away to the traffic. So allowance is a very empowering exercise because it does allow you to take back your power, because what we do is we give away our okayness and our sense of inner peace and our personal power to everything in our environment that upsets and irritates us. So having this realization that nobody can give me my internal sense of peace, nobody can give me my power, and nobody can take it away. It is innately what I am. And so I'm going to take that power back. I'm going to cultivate my own inner space by dissolving these attachments and judgments to everything that keep me feeling stressed and worried and overwhelmed and not okay all the time. I'm going to allow everything to be what it is, let go of control, and come back to myself. So that's number one, the practice of allowance. If you simply do this practice every single time you feel an emotional imbalance or upset, it is enough on its own to achieve enlightenment. If you take any one of these practices and you simply follow it, forget everything else that you've learned, all of the information overload, and you pick one of these simple practices and follow it consistently, you will see massive shifts in your state of consciousness. The second practice is to understand when to look. When do you look for your divine connection? And the answer is that you have to look in the present moment. And the practice that I teach to master present moment awareness is flow state. Spiritual teachers have talked for thousands of years about how Enlightenment exists in present moment awareness. But I believe that so many of us are so busy and so distracted that we dismiss this. We don't take it seriously. I did this for years. The first time that I picked up Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, I just thought to myself, it's just way too simple. Like, it just cannot be that simple. I need a more complex spiritual practice. I have come full circle into actually understanding that truly all that exists is the present moment. Think about it. Everything that's happened in the past, when it was happening, it happened in the present. When the future arrives, it will be in the present. When you're thinking about something that's happened in the past, you are in the present, recalling it to your mind. When you're thinking about a future event, you are in the present, thinking about it. You never actually experience the past or the future, and the past and the future never actually happen. They don't exist. It is a great illusion. Everything happens in the present moment, and therefore everything that happened in the past and everything that will happen in the future still exists right now in the present moment. We just don't have access to it because of our limitations to how we perceive time as human beings. But everything that happened in the past and the future still exists now. And this is what near-death experiencers and out-of-body experiencers tell us all the time. It's really hard for them to explain it, but they will see how everything exists in the eternal present moment. It's all still there. Nothing is ever lost. We're just having a purposely limited experience of time here. But what that means is that if you want to access what exists, if you want to access reality, which is God, oneness, love, divinity, those things can only be accessed in the present moment. And so you have to train your mind to stop going to the past and future constantly and bring it and firmly plant it into present moment awareness. I will say this is a real challenge for humanity at this point. Because of our constant screen use, we have decreased our ability to be present and pay attention. I hear from people all the time that they just cannot meditate. And there's various things that could be contributing to this, but I think a lot of it is our modern lifestyle with our screen use and just constantly being pulled in a million directions, that we just have never cultivated the ability to be present. Every higher spiritual practice that you may want to develop, whether it is contacting your guides, having psychic abilities, healing abilities, doesn't matter what it is. Those things cannot develop for you until you cultivate the ability to be present, because all of those things happen in the present moment. So they will not happen for you if you are sitting in the present, but your mind is in the past or the future. They will not happen until you learn to be present, because that's where the divine connection exists. And so the way that I teach this for our very attention span challenged population, which I include myself in that, I work on computers and it definitely has affected my attention span. Rather than sitting and meditating for 30 minutes a day, try 10 minutes or try 30 seconds spread out multiple times across the day. Cultivate the ability to bring yourself fully into the moment, even if it's for 30 seconds when you start. And then you can work up from there, because the more you do it, the easier it gets. But the key that I find that really shifts things for people is understanding that you will only find what you're looking for right now. It's the only place it exists is right now. So you have to develop the ability to become present and let go of past and future worries for 30 seconds and ask yourself, can I experience the joy of being right now? Because that's the only place it exists. You'll be very surprised how easy it is to start feeling peaceful and joyful and blissed out even for no reason, because your nature is divinity, divine bliss, inner peace. That's what you already are. You just have to know where to look for it. And you're not going to find it as long as your mind is in the past or the future. But as soon as you bring yourself present, there it is. And you don't even need any reason to feel peaceful and joyous, because that's what you already are. You just didn't know where to find it. In my course, Awaken Your Divinity, which you can get access to in my membership, I teach flow state awareness as a way to enter into the present moment. And really, flow state awareness builds on allowance and takes it to the next level of developing a really deeply trusting relationship with the universe, knowing that everything that manifests into your life is exactly what you need, and learning how to surrender into it, let go, and enter the flow state, and live your life from a state of intense presence and trust. And the third practice to connect to your divinity is to know where to look for it. Where do you find your divine connection? If absolutely everything is part of the one consciousness, then that means that divinity can be found and experienced in everything. However, most of us miss an absolutely crucial step. We start by looking for that divine connection, that sense of fulfillment and inner peace in everything else. Before you can connect to God, divinity, fulfillment in the outer world, you absolutely have to activate it within yourself first. What you are looking for is already inside you. It is already what you are. But where exactly within yourself can you access it? In my course, I teach self-inquiry meditation as the practice to connect with your divinity. You've probably heard the phrase, all of the answers are within you, so many times that it's become cliche. But oftentimes when people say that, they don't explain exactly where within you. What are you looking for? Your thoughts, your emotions, your likes, your dislikes, your personality. What you're looking for is actually buried beneath all of those aspects of your inner world. And those things should not be suppressed. They're a beautiful expression of who you are as a divine being in a physical body. But your divinity, your divine connection, is actually found underneath all of those things, and it is found in your state of being. When I ask you the question, how do you know you exist? Or who is having this experience? Who hears the sound of my voice? And the answer that comes back is, I am. The sense of self. That's what you're looking for. The part of you that describes itself as I. The one that is experiencing this reality, not reacting to it. We react to the reality with our likes and dislikes, our emotions, etc. But the part of you that is having the experience, the part of you that hears the sound of my voice. When you bring yourself very present and you focus on what are you experiencing? You hear my voice. You see the screen. That part of you that is the experiencer of life, the one that says I am, the one that you call me, your sense of beingness, that is what you're looking for. That sense of beingness, that is your consciousness or your spirit. And your consciousness, as we've gone into depth in previous videos, the qualities of consciousness are oneness, love, divinity, peace, bliss. That's what your nature is as a conscious being. And so when you take time out of every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes, to sit with yourself and ask the question, how do I know I exist? Well, because I am here having this experience. And you pull yourself back to your sense of self and you spend time with your sense of I am. That is where you access your divine nature, your inner peace, your divine connection. That is where it can all be found. So to sum up, the 3-step simple and powerful practice to access your own divinity, your own sense of inner fulfillment and peace and security, your own connection to divine love and bliss. How do you look for it? With allowance, unconditional love, and discernment to dissolve your attachments and judgments to things in the outer world that you think you need in order to feel okay. When do you look for it? You look for it now. Get into the flow state with life. Keep yourself present out of the worries and stresses of the past and future into the present moment where reality exists, where your divinity exists. And where do you look for it? Past the thoughts, feelings, judgments, attachments, likes, dislikes, deep down into the core of your being, the part of you that is simply existing, simply having this experience, not the doer of the actions, not the reactor to life, the experiencer of life, your being, your consciousness. If you do any one of these three practices, you'll see massive shifts in your consciousness if you do them regularly. And I mean, choose one, set a timer to go off every hour throughout the day. Do your spiritual practice of your choice for 30 seconds. And also make use of your life catalyst. Make use of those stresses that arise in life. And every time a stress arises, practice allowance, or practice flow state presence, or practice self-inquiry. Who am I? I am the experiencer of life. Not attached to it, not reacting, the experiencer. You'll see massive shifts in your consciousness very quickly. And if you combine all three of them, you may feel like a completely different person within a couple of weeks. A more stable, grounded, present, peaceful person. If you are ready to go from struggling, disconnected, suffering on your spiritual path, go from information overload to having a simple and powerful practice laid out for you, deeply connect to your own divinity. And if you want to do this in community with others so you can have constant encouragement and support along the path, check below for the link to the sanctuary, where I am currently in the process of teaching this course live month to month. And you can also access the beautiful heart-centered community that we have and bi-weekly live connection calls with me. Thank you so much for watching. Now go live your most extravagantly loving life, and I will see you next time.